Guys, I have some more crazy news. Just announced, Khamzat Chimaev will now be fighting Kamaru Usman in the UFC 294 co-main event. Paulo Costa had elbow surgery, then got a staph infection and is not cleared to fight. Usman, heart of a lion, stepping in to fight at 185 pounds versus Khamzat Chimaev. Word on the street from Dana White: winner is getting a title shot. We're going to get into that, but we also have more than just that to talk about. USADA and the UFC are no longer working together. So does this mean we're going back to the 2000s where we got Brock Lesnar with traps up to his earlobes? Or is it going to be a different program that the UFC maybe is working on specifically? We'll talk about that too. We'll go in depth with it. So guys, make sure you smash that like button. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. And let's get this news reaction video underway. First, let's talk about the absolute craziness that is UFC 294. Yesterday, the UFC, Dana White specifically, announced that Islam Makhachev is now fighting Alexander Volkanovski, with Charles Oliveira pulling out due to having an eye injury that needed stitches. And that is crazy enough, right? That's crazy enough. We have a brand new main event, and I'd say it's a better main event. I'm more excited for that main event. Now, not 24 hours later, and granted, Dana White yesterday in his post-fight interview, or I guess post-contender series interview, had kind of alluded to the fact that Paulo Costa probably isn't going to be fighting. And I took it that I didn't. When I, did my last news reaction for the UFC 294 main event mashup, I talked about Costa pulling out and who might be next for Khamzat. I'll be honest though, guys, I didn't think that Kamaru Usman would be jumping in on this short notice to fight, specifically at 185 pounds. Is this better for Usman? Is this worse? I think that it's a non-optimal circumstance, the fact that he's fighting on like 10 days notice, 9 days notice now to take on Khamzat Chimaev, who's an incredibly difficult threat. But I respect the hell out of him taking the chance. And jumping up to 185 is the career shift that is needed for Kamaru Usman right now. He's coming off back-to-back losses with Leon Edwards, and the odds of him getting a trilogy with Leon, or actually rather a quadrilogy, because he does have one win over Leon, I'd say relatively low. And I think there's a chance the weight cut is also doing damage to the game of Kamaru Usman. Let's be real here. Welterweights are faster, middleweights are slower. You go up and, go for a run at 185 pounds. Maybe Usman's hitting harder, even though I think the knee degeneration from, the past injuries in the years is going to affect his movement. I feel like against the slower guys at 85, this is better. Here's the biggest issue with it, though. The debut for him at 185 in the UFC is against Khamzat Chimaev, who's a former welterweight too, who seems to be peaking now, looks in incredible shape, seems to have really filled out a middleweight frame, and we know he's damn fast and he delivers power in the middleweight division. This is a fight that I wanted. I had predicted some time ago, and you guys know I'm on the Khamzat train through and through. I felt like Khamzat Chimaev would be the man to dethrone Kamaru Usman at 170 pounds. Obviously, things went differently. Leon Edwards dethroned him. Khamzat Chimaev is no longer able to make 170, but it worked out beautifully that now we get these two facing off in a co-main event in Abu Dhabi. Yeah, it's short notice for Usman, so that does bring up like a little bit of concern, right? He doesn't have this full camp, but Usman is a guy that stays in shape. And not having to cut the additional 15 pounds to get down to 170, I don't think it impedes his performance significantly. I think we're getting a pretty solid version of Kamaru Usman. Now, I will say this. How I've been sitting on this matchup and mentally thinking about it, analyzing it in my mind and running it out, running it through up top. I think that the striking of Khamzat Chimaev is going to be faster than Kamaru Usman's. I think he's going to touch him up with the hands a bit here. I think that Kamaru Usman's wrestling defense will be solid for the most part, but Khamzat Chimaev shoots faster takedowns, and I don't think Usman is going to be able to take Khamzat down. I can see Usman fending off some takedowns from Khamzat and being fairly competitive in the stand-up, but I do think he's going to be getting backed up. I do think he's going to get touched up on the feet, and we're talking 85 Khamzat. Khamzat's always kind of been scarier at 185. when he first burst onto the scene, and then, when he knocked out GM3, at 185 pounds, Khamzat Chimaev looks damn unstoppable, I believe. Let's look at this, right? The UFC debut when he fought against John Phillips was a middleweight fight, and he beat up John Phillips so bad it looked like he was taking on somebody that didn't even belong in there with him, which, you know what, John Phillips didn't. But you look at the run, when he's at 85, he's having some sick wins, man. The GM3 fight at 185 pounds, it was 17 seconds. From what I've seen from Khamzat at 85, he's better. And now I got Usman taking it on short notice, coming off back-to-back losses, losing his belt. I think that Khamzat's going to beat him. Now, I'm thinking method of victory, man. I feel like decision, but let's be real here. Khamzat Chimaev has the punching power that could potentially hurt a Kamaru Usman, especially if he comes at him with a high pace. And what happens when Usman's on his back? He's not known for ever being on his back. So if he's put in bad spots, put on his back, and next thing you know what, Khamzat's unloading, you might get a ground and pound TKO for Khamzat. You might get a rear naked choke for Khamzat because Usman is not used to being the nail, specifically in the grappling positions. Taking on a better wrestler than himself, it's a rare thing for Usman. But I think Khamzat is the better wrestler. And I do think Khamzat's going to put him on his back and do some damage. This is a crazy fight at 85. I feel like Khamzat is going to look incredible. And then the Dana White says what? The Don says what? The boss. Winner of this fight is getting the title fight versus Sean Strickland. And you got to love it because Usman has a win over Sean Strickland. Khamzat Chimaev, let's be real here. He's a star. He's a star in this game. Dricus du Plessis not taking the title fight versus Adesanya. Look at that. He's sent far back. Adesanya ain't getting an immediate rematch. Now, obviously, if there was some type of injury, the winner of Usman and Chimaev wouldn't get the title fight. But I'm assuming, the stars are going to align beautifully. And heading into 2024, I think a Khamzat Chimaev versus Sean Strickland fight is crazy. If Usman somehow pulled it off, though, Usman getting to fight Sean Strickland again at 85 would be interesting. I'm really curious to see how Kamaru Usman is going to fill out this 85 frame, specifically on short notice. Now, I think he's going to lose this fight. I'm pretty confident he's losing, guys. I think he's getting beaten up. He might get stopped here, but I respect the hell out of him for taking it, and I kind of feel like let's stick to 185. Like, I feel like if you look at 185 pounds, Usman fits in nicely. Let's go get 85 right now. Let's go to these rankings here. I'm going to quickly just brief it before we talk about the USADA stuff. Sean Strickland, striker who's the champ, who Usman beat. Israel Adesanya, striker. I know they're boys, so they probably wouldn't fight, but just a thought. Du Plessis, strong motherfucker, but Usman's better wrestler than him. Rob Whittaker, interesting matchup too. Usman probably get outgunned on the feet. Cannonier, super athlete, might give Usman problems on the feet. Marvin Vettori, I think Usman could edge out a win. Paulo Costa, competitive fight, maybe he'd get knocked out. But Jack Hermanson, when we dig back, right, from Jack Hermanson on, I think he can take a lot of these guys out. Roman Dolidze's a coin flip fight. That's a hard matchup. Usman's better here at 185, and this is a genius move. Daring to be great, and if you win, you get a title shot against the guy you beat in what would be a huge rematch. But I don't think he's going to win. I think Khamzat Chimaev is going to beat him. And this fight works out perfectly because I always wanted to see it. And I'm happy as hell that we get it. And I'm going victory for Khamzat on short notice. Usman's a badass for jumping in, but Khamzat Chimaev is going to be too much for him. And I was picking Khamzat over Paulo Costa. I'm telling you, I've been looking at Khamzat's vlogs. I've been checking him out online. The guy looks like a sharpened sword. And I think we're getting the best version of Khamzat Chimaev. Let's remember this, guys. Khamzat is not an old guy. He's 29. He's just now entering his true prime. Kamaru Usman on the opposite side, I believe he's 35, but now I got to pull this up to exactly get it checked. Let's see. 36. At 36, taking on Khamzat in his prime? No. Khamzat's going to be the winner. I don't think any betting odds are out yet for this fight. I kind of wish that they were because I'm curious to see what they'd be at. No, they just dropped him. Minus 290 Khamzat, plus 235 Usman. Guys, that's not a bad tag. I think Khamzat's got a real chance to win. I think Khamzat, I'm looking at that as a lock of the week type situation. Khamzat Chimaev at 294. I think he's taking out Usman. I know the line is a little wide for money line, but at the end of the day, it's still a great likelihood of success happening. I'm picking Khamzat there. Holy shit. What a crazy ass day. What a crazy ass 2 days. We got more to talk about though. I want to discuss this USADA situation, and I want to give my honest thoughts about it. So initially, my thoughts were, this is good. USADA's gone. You know what? They're annoying for the fighters. They blood test them at what time in the morning before a weigh-in? 4 a.m., 5 a.m.? They knock on their door at any hour of the day. Wherever they are, doesn't matter. They can follow you. They can call you. And it's not optimal for fighters to, be dealing with that. It's just like, it impedes on their life. It impedes on their actual just enjoyment of day-to-day life. Now, that is obviously a big factor. USADA's on point with that. I feel like the UFC is saying they're going to continue their program of drug testing. That's at least what Brett Okamoto said, because I checked out him on Twitter saying that the UFC has the program already, but they're just going to get rid of the middleman. Now, why did the UFC cut USADA out? Because they wouldn't approve of Conor McGregor. They wouldn't allow him to fight with less than 6 months in the program. And the UFC's like, no, we're in charge here. Peace out. A lot of people have complained that USADA doesn't catch the guys that are actually juicing, and that they kind of just are more used as a tool to cause fear as opposed to actually prevent the drug test failures or the use of performance enhancing drugs. But I do think that with a USADA test, you got to take them. You're limiting steroid and performance enhancing drug usage by a massive margin. My concern going forward is this. It's the fact that now, if the UFC goes back to more of their old drug testing protocol, out of competition testing is going to be few and far between. So fighters will be taking anabolic steroids out of competition. But what if you're a clean fighter that's never taken anything? Now you're forced to feel like, damn, I'm a step behind if I'm not using PEDs. And maybe they don't want to put their health at risk with that. So it puts them in a compromised position that the skill set is not the main thing that gets you there. Now, obviously, sure, with USADA, there's loopholes. There's guys that are still taking stuff. But damn sure, it's harder to take anabolics or any type of PEDs with USADA in play than without. So I do think the UFC needs to find a stringent program and come up with something. It's definitely not going to be as strict as USADA. And I think the usage of PEDs is going to go through the roof. You're going to see guys come in with crazy traps, with bigger frames. You're going to see guys that are a little bit older kind of reemerge. Maybe Chris Weidman comes back looking like his prime self because he's, maybe dropping a little TRT in his system, a little like Vitor style TRT. And they'll cycle off when the fight happens. And when you take the drug test fight week and post-fight, they'll be off stuff. So you're a clean athlete at the time of the drug test. But in actuality, the year-round drug testing that the UFC has by USADA being random is so powerful because you take something and then USADA's at the door. You're fucked. Unless you have witnesses letting you know, hey, they're coming at this time, don't take it here, and they're taking real short acting, PEDs that are out of the system in lightning speed. It's a weird situation because I think without USADA, the TRT usage is going to go through the fucking roof. At the very least, TRT is going to be way more widespread. A lot of guys will be using it now because if they're not testing you all year, they're not knocking at your door at random times, you don't have that worry. So then fight week comes. What, you're not taking it? You're not taking it for fight week, but you had it all camp? You're still going to reap the rewards and benefits more so than if you were just completely natty. We've seen this before. This is crazy. The official USADA statement, I do want to read off. I actually have it on my phone here. Let's see what they officially said. They said, we are disappointed for UFC athletes who are independent contractors who rely on our independent, gold standard global program to protect their rights to a clean, safe, and fair octagon. The UFC's move imperils the immense progress made within the sport under USADA's leadership. Powerful statement there. The relationship between USADA and UFC became untenable given the statements made by UFC leaders and others questioning USADA's principled stance that McGregor should not be allowed to fight without being in the testing pool for at least 6 months. One UFC commentator echoed this, recently declaring that USADA should not oversee the UFC program since we held firm to the 6-month rule involving McGregor. And since we do not allow fighters without an approved medical basis to use performance-enhancing drugs like experimental, unapproved peptides or testosterone for healing or injuries simply to get back in the octagon. So at the very least, the usage of certain PEDs to heal yourself and get back in the octagon, there's going to be an influx. Injured athletes for sure. I'm telling you guys this, don't fall into the trap. Without USADA in effect, the UFC drug testing is going to drop significantly, and there's going to be a lot more guys on the juice. I will lock it up, guarantee it like it's a damn bet, because at the end of the day, there is no other program that I can think of, unless the UFC is spending all time and money creating their own USADA, the UFC anti-doping agency now. They're going to hire tons of people to go knock on doors at all different times of the day around the whole United States of America and so on and so forth. No, it's not going to happen. There's going to be more guys on PEDs, and that's a fact. And you guys got to know this. Now, I'm not saying that the entertainment value isn't going to be great, but I do think it's unfair to these true, clean athletes who don't want to put anything in their body. Now they feel like they have to. Because you look back in the day, they're all on steroids. We all know it. And now we have at least more clean athletes than ever before. And if you're passing these drug tests, damn, it's not easy to. You're putting in a lot of work, the science. You got a lot of meticulous calculations by very educated people. And I promise you the dosages are lower. Now, dudes just hop on fucking little steroids. That's it. They can start injecting. Boom. Few weeks out from the fight, stop. Boom. Or maybe they're taking something that's in and out of the system. Few days out from the fight, stop. They won't find it. Are we going to be having the USADA level drug testing? Look how hard it was for USADA to catch guys blood doping, taking EPO. The UFC ain't going to be catching that. There's going to be an influx of EPO. There's going to be an influx of testosterone, probably some other anabolics too. I don't know. There's going to be a lot of things though. There's going to be a lot of PED usage now. It's coming to the forefront. We're going to see juiced fighters galore. You got some heavyweights that ain't doing well. Somehow they're going to come back looking Brock Lesnar-like, and they're going to start beating people up. It's a dangerous game, man. It's a dangerous game. It's unfair to the clean athlete. And honestly, as much as I find USADA to be irritating, especially with certain banned substances and whatnot that probably shouldn't be banned, like you take some type of supplement for working out, and the next you're popped for X, Y, and Z. At the very least, though, the fear and the prevention limited the steroid usage. Now you're going to see an influx, and that is unfortunate for 2023 heading into 2024 because it stops January 1st. It's over. I do hope the UFC does its due diligence and gets a real good drug testing protocol because the fighters need to be tested. They need to, because it's going to be too easy to pass it. You go back to the old days, come on, what are you doing? A fight week drug test? Post-fight drug test? Okay, so somebody stops taking stuff 2 weeks before then? Their whole camp, they're enhanced. They're not losing muscle in 2 weeks. And if they are, it's not much. They're not losing endurance in 2 weeks. And if they are, it ain't much. This is natural. You're going to be able to get to here. Oh, maybe before the fight, it drops you to just here. You're still way above the natty athlete. And that's fucked for the natural athlete. So that's unfortunate. I don't like that. We might get some freak shows, though. Some crazy fights. The heavyweight division, I'm telling you guys, there's another Brock Lesnar on the come up now without USADA. We got Brock Lesnar 2.0 coming. I don't know his name, but you're going to see him at some point. The game is absolutely crazy. Holy hell. What a weird 2023 end, and now heading into 2024. What a weird turn of events, man. The UFC never ceases to amaze me. And also this, quick thing. I'm seeing Val Woodburn versus Magomed Ankalaev. I think this is a troll job, but it might not be. Val Woodburn might be fighting Ankalaev and Johnny Walker might be out. Now, I'm praying this is a troll job because why are we doing this to Val? He loses to Bo Nickel in seconds. Now you're going to give him Ankalaev, who's bigger, more experienced, arguably better too. What are you doing this to Val Woodburn? I respect it, though. He's got balls to jump in there. But, damn, y'all better give him a gift fight after this one if he's fighting Ankalaev. Don't know if that's true. That's all speculation. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this rant, news reaction about UFC 294, which I will say has turned into a god-tier card. Me, I like this card way better now with Usman and Chimaev and with Volkanovski versus Makhachev, too. So I'm double thumbsing up. Obviously not optimal that they have limited camps, but still absolutely amazing fights that I can't wait to see. Guys, let me know what you think of all the situations in the comments. Let me know. Do you like the Usman versus Chimaev fight? Or you like, nah? You're like, nah, I wanted to see Chimaev Costa. Do you support USADA ending? Maybe because Conor McGregor privilege got him kicked out the door? Or do you think we need USADA like I do? Because it's worrisome. It's worrisome heading forward that there's going to be a big influx of PED usage. And that concerns me for the overall fairness of the combat sport. I want to know your guys' thoughts. If you got nothing to say in the comments, but you just enjoy the video, as always, drop a W in the chat to boost the algorithm for your boy. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. If you're new on the channel, lock it in, subscribe. And don't only subscribe, turn the post notifications on. And don't just leave them on personalized. Put them on all so you don't miss a video, because I got daily content dropping, sometimes multiple videos or live streams a day, and you guys don't want to miss a thing. Smash the likes up. I appreciate you all. Show love to the news reaction, because I'm dropping the heat with them, guys. I'm dropping the heat. I appreciate you guys. If you really enjoyed it, share too, and send it to a buddy, and let's blow these news reaction videos up. Thank you guys for watching. If you're wondering what's going on with the black eye, go to the Fight Companion from UFC Vegas 80 last weekend and tune into the first 5 minutes, and you'll know exactly what happened with this eye. Much love, my people. I appreciate you all, and I will see everyone in the next one. Peace.